The start position allows you to playtest your level from certain points. You can change all of the settings in here like speed, game mode, or all of these guys. The move trigger allows you to move certain group IDs by the given X and Y value in the given time with a certain easing. It also allows you to move certain group IDs towards other group IDs. And the color channel trigger allows you to change the colors of certain color channel IDs, or you can change the color of the background, the ground, the line, the object color, the 3D line, the middle ground, or middle ground too. And all of that by the specified color and time. And you can also change the opacity and make things additive. The stop trigger allows you to pause, resume, or completely stop a certain trigger. The pulse trigger allows you to pulse certain channels or group IDs to the given color with a fade in, hold, and fade out options. The alpha trigger allows you to change the opacity of certain group IDs by the given time. The toggle trigger can activate or deactivate a certain group ID. The spawn trigger allows you to spawn certain group IDs with the given delay or a little bit of randomness. And it also has a remapping system that allows you to save as many group IDs as possible. The rotate trigger allows you to rotate objects either around their centers or around certain other centers by the given time, the degrees, or the easing. And it also gives you the option to rotate things as if they were aiming at something. The scale trigger allows you to scale objects either on their center ID or on other center ID by the given easing and duration. The follow trigger allows you to follow certain objects by the given X modifier and move time, and also the Y modifier. The shake trigger allows you to shake the screen on the given strength and also duration. The animate trigger is useful for the particle system to spawn the particles or to activate or animate these three monsters by giving them the animation ID. The keyframe trigger allows you to move certain things on a certain path using this object that can be used to specify the certain path you want. You can change many of the settings in here, or you can change the settings in here, which can allow for very smooth animations. The follow player Y trigger allows certain group IDs to follow the player Y position. You can change the speed, the delay, and the move time, as well as the offset. The advanced follow trigger allows you to make certain group IDs follow other group IDs or the player. It has a lot of options like delay, max speed, easings, and much more. It is very customizable and is very useful when it comes to rockets and stuff like that. The edit advanced follow allows you to change certain values of the advanced follow trigger in real time. The retarget advanced follow trigger allows you to change the target of the previously used advanced follow trigger. The area move trigger allows you to move certain objects up or down or away from certain objects depending on how far they are from those objects. You can set the center group ID to be the player, the camera, and the edges of the camera. The area rotate trigger allows you to rotate certain things according to how far they are from different objects. The area scale trigger allows you to scale certain things depending on how far it is from different triggers. The area fade trigger allows you to fade certain objects depending on how far they are from the center group ID. The area tint trigger allows you to tint certain group IDs depending on how far they are from the center group ID. The edit area move trigger allows you to change the values of the area move trigger in real time, as well as for the edit area rotate, edit area scale, edit area fade, and edit area tint. And the area stop trigger allows you to stop these animations from happening. The change background trigger allows you to change the background mid-level. The change ground trigger allows you to change the ground mid-level. The middle ground trigger allows you to change the middle ground mid-level, obviously. The touch trigger allows you to activate certain groups once the player touches or holds. The count trigger allows you to activate certain group IDs once an item ID has reached a certain amount. And the instant count allows you to activate a certain group ID when a certain item ID has reached a exact value, a larger value, or a smaller value once this trigger has been hit. The pickup trigger allows you to change the item ID value. You can make it multiply, divide, or you can completely change the value. The time trigger allows you to add a timer that can start at the given value and end at the given value. You can also change the time mod and play around with these values. The time event trigger allows you to do certain things once that time has been reached. The control timer trigger allows you to either stop or start the timer. The item edit trigger allows you to change the item IDs with very customizable settings like roundings, dividing, multiplying, and much more. The item compare trigger allows you to compare two different items and activate certain group IDs if the statement is true, and activate certain group IDs if the statement was wrong. wrong. You can check if things are larger than other things, larger or equal, less or equal, or not equal to, or equal to. And you can also play around with the roundings. The item persist trigger allows you to make numbers or variables persistent through all of the attempts. The random trigger allows you to activate one of two group IDs depending on the random chance that is being hit while you are playing the game. And the advanced random trigger allows you to specify as many group IDs you want and set the chances for them to be activated once a trigger has been reached. The sequence trigger allows you to activate certain groups in order if this trigger was hit multiple times. The spawn particle trigger allows you to spawn a particle that has a duration of not -1. The reset trigger allows you to make certain objects be recollected. For example, you can make this heart be recollected again after it was collected. The camera zoom trigger allows you to zoom in or out with the camera with the given time with the given easing. The camera static trigger can make the camera stop moving and focus on one single group ID on the X, Y, and it can also follow that group ID with a given duration and easing. The camera offset trigger allows you to offset the camera on the X and Y with the given time. The gameplay offset trigger allows you to move the camera on X or Y, and it's different from the camera offset trigger because these are the hard-coded values for how the camera moves in platformer mode. The camera rotate trigger allows you to rotate the camera with the given time and given easing. The edge trigger allows you to lock the camera when it reaches a certain group ID on the top, left, bottom, or up. The camera mode trigger allows you to make certain game modes go free fly mode. The camera guide trigger is useful for testing the camera movements. You can set the zoom, the offset, and also the preview opacity. The reverse trigger allows you to change the gameplay direction. The arrow trigger, also known as the rotate gameplay trigger, allows you to change the gameplay to either up, down, left, or right. It can basically make you move on walls, which is kind of cool, I'm not gonna lie. And the song trigger allows you to change the song mid-level, or you can also change the volume and the speed. You can use songs from the music library and Newgrounds as of right now. You can specify a start and end value for the song. The edit song trigger allows you to change that song that is on the given channel with the speed, volume, and it can also stop the song, or it can also stop the loop. And it also has a bunch of options for proximity. The SFX trigger simply plays a sound effect that has been chosen from here, and you can change the pitch, the speed, the reverb, the start and end value, and you can make it proximity based. The edit SFX trigger allows you to change that certain SFX in real time. You can change the volume, the speed, the proximity, or make it completely go silent by stopping it. The event trigger allows you to activate certain group IDs once the player does one of these things. It basically just activates certain group IDs once one of these actions have been triggered, and you can select which actions you want. And the time mode trigger allows you to change the speed of the game, and the middle ground trigger allows you to change the offset Y of the middle ground with the given time and easing. And the background speed trigger allows you to change the speed of the background, and the middle ground speed trigger allows you to change the speed of the middle ground. The counter object allows you to display certain values on screen. You can display points, attempts, main time, or you can set your own value and also align the text wherever you want. The UI trigger allows you to put certain group IDs on the UI and also align them no matter what the screen ratio is. And these things go on top of everything, including the ground. The link visible trigger allows you to make objects that usually go off the screen still be visible while they are off the screen. This is useful for big particles that are usually off when they are off the screen. The collision trigger allows you to activate certain group IDs once certain blocks have touched. The instant collision trigger allows you to check if certain blocks have been touched once the trigger has been reached. The state trigger allows you to check if the player is inside it or outside it. You can also activate certain groups once the player is inside it and once he is left. And this collision object is used as a block ID for the collision triggers. And this object allows you to activate certain groups once the player clicks within it. And the on death trigger allows you to activate certain group IDs once the player dies. The disable trail trigger allows you to disable the trail of the player, and you can also enable it with this one. The player show allows you to show the player. The player hide allows you to hide the player. The background effect trigger allows you to hide and also show the background effects, which are usually visible in the ship, the swing copter, and the UFO. The end trigger allows you to end the level and also spawn a bunch of group IDs according to your will once the level has been ended. And the player control trigger allows you to stop the player player jumping, moving, rotation, or stop slide. The options trigger allows you to change many options inside the level. You can disable the controls for the first player, you can hide the ground, you can hide the attempts, and much more. The BPM trigger is just a simple trigger that allows you to see the BPM lines according to your given values inside the editor. The gradient trigger, you just gotta be careful once you place it. It allows you to add the gradient just like you see in the background. You can specify where you want to display this gradient, and you can also give it corner values, meaning that the gradient will only show in certain areas. The gravity trigger allows you to change the gravity of either player 1, player 2, or the player that touches this trigger according to the given gravity value. The teleport trigger allows you to teleport the player to certain positions according to the given group ID. There are a lot of settings that can be changed here, for example the force that you get or the gravity, whether it should be changed or not. The shader trigger is used before any of these shaders are used to specify on what layer you want this shader to display. The shockwave effect gives the level this sort of shockwave effect thingy. The shock line effect gives the level a cool shock line effect. The glitch is the effect that should never be used, and the chromatic is something that basically makes the colors go a little bit off. The chromatic glitch is basically both of these guys together. The pixelate allows you to change the quality of things. You can also make it hard-edged if you want. And you can also add the length circle, which allows you to have this cool circle. You can also specify the fade of it, and you can also change the strength, and also center ID, and also the color, and also the easing, and also the screen offset. The radial blur allows you to add this radial blur, and it can also target the player or any given certain group IDs. The motion blur blurs the screen on motion, which is very self-explanatory. The bulge trigger adds a little bulge effect to the screen. The pinch kind of makes the whole screen get pulled in like that. And the grayscale allows you to change it to black and white, or you can give it a certain color. The sepia effect, the invert color allows you to invert the colors. If you have a level that is very bright, I would very much recommend using this trigger. The hue trigger allows you to change the hue, HUE value of certain group IDs or certain layer, which you can specify in the shader. The edit color allows you to edit the color with the given values, and it can lead to some very cool effects. Not this one, but you guys know what I'm saying. And the split screen trigger allows you to split the screen. You can make it go into 4 screens if you want, and you can also make it go upside down if you really want to. And the triggers from here to here are all for how the objects enter the screen and how they exit the screen. You can specify if you want them to only apply on enter or on exit. You can also give it a target enter channel, and they all have different effects. This one allows every single object to be set on don't fade and don't enter. The enter move trigger allows you to change how objects come into the screen or leave the screen by the given values, and the rotate trigger allows you to specify the rotation of them, the scale, the fade, and the area tint, And the enter stop allows you to stop these effects. And that has been it for all the triggers. I'm gonna do a full tutorial on every single trigger and go in depth on what they do exactly and what every single setting does. But this video was just a small little video to summarize what every single trigger does. I hope this was helpful, and make sure to like and also subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video.